All right, welcome back to Mr. Holloway's Foundational Python Skills series. In this video, we're going to cover Python collections. More specifically, we'll review lists, tuple, a set, and a dictionary. And we're going to just cover the basics. I'm going to make a second video where we're going to delve a little bit deeper into a few of the methods that you can use on some of those items there. So let's get started, and class is now in session. All right, so before we get started, if you like the video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And let's get started. So if you guys remember, we talked about variables in my previous videos. And the thing that you remember about a variable is that variables can hold items such as strings, for instance, names. It can hold integers and floats. But it can only hold one. And so when we move to a collection, you can imagine a collection as a drawer, and it could have 2 drawers. It could have 20, it could have 100, it could have 1,000, but it's a single entity that has multiple sections to hold things. All right. And those things, if you look here, are lists, a tuple, a set, and a dictionary. And in Python, these are very specific to Python. Other languages have their other types of collections or data structures. And in this case, a list, and we'll go over this, are ordered, they're mutable, and they're duplicates allowed. This is the structure. And if you just quickly take a look at the structures in general, you're going to notice that lists have a square brackets, a tuple has curly brackets, and a set has parentheses, just by kind of just noticing. So that's really a big visual difference. But coming back to the characteristics, if you look at a tuple, they're ordered, but they're immutable, meaning you cannot change. So mutable means that you can change them. Immutable means that you cannot change them, and duplicates are allowed. So that's the two primary differences there. And as far as an example, you could use something like longitude and latitude, where you want to go to a specific place, and that cannot change. A set is unordered, mutable, and does not allow duplicates. And again, here we could have books, and let's say we want to find something unique, like a book genre, and we want to have all of those in a set. And let's say we have multiple horror items in that book set. When we search it, we can actually eliminate the duplicates in there. And I'll go over this as well. And then finally, a dictionary, which is very similar to other data structures, but in other languages. But this in Python is called a dictionary, and it has key pair values. Key pair values is a common theme throughout many programming languages, especially with just JSON in general. Which if you go further into web development, you'll learn about that. But it has key pair values. It's ordered and it's mutable. And in this case, it has a key and it has a value. And it's great for things like a song list or a movie list that you would have, maybe on like a Netflix or Spotify or Pandora or something like that. So let's look at this and see what it looks like in code. All right, so for the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste in a list here. So this is a list of sports. And so basically we define it. We're basically declaring a variable, which in this case we wouldn't necessarily know what it is until we do the right side, and we're going to assign it a value. So we've declared it, we've assigned it a value, and the value, Python knows that it's a list because it has the square brackets. And this has actually 4 items in it. All right. And so what we're going to do is, because we've learned the type method in previous videos, I'm just going to type print, and I'm going to do type, and I'm going to put sports in there as an argument, and then let's see what the results are going to be. All right, so it is a list. Okay, so we have confirmed that it is a list, and if we wanted to print that list, we could just go ahead and just do print and just do sports. All right, so we're going to print the list, and let's see what it prints. Okay, now before we move on any further, I want to talk about the structure of a list, because currently we printed the type, which is here. We know it's a list, and then we printed all of the items in the list. But there are cases quite often where you only want to print one item or two items or whatever. And so we need to know how to access this. All right. And so in order for us to do that, I'm going to switch back over into Google Slides and let's take a look at the index here. So notice that we have the same index. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 items, but the first item is actually at index 0. Okay, so we refer to basketball as index 0, not index 1, so on and so forth. So this would be index 1, index 2, and index 3. So if you were to ask yourself, what is it index 3? We would say volleyball. Okay, so that's how we refer to the items in the list. We don't say it's the first item. We say it's at index 0 or index 1, and there's a very specific way that we do that. And so let's look at how we do that. So I'm going to switch back over and let me go ahead and just put this here. And so if we looked at the list, we know it's ordered. So there's an order to it. It's mutable, meaning we can change it, and we'll do that in a second. And then there are duplicates allowed. So we'll cover all of that. But first, let's just simply print the first item in the list. Okay. So if I wanted to say basketball, I could just do my little brackets here and I say 0. Okay. And that's going to print basketball. We're going to go ahead and stop, and then let's go ahead and run, and that's where we get basketball. So that's how we access items in the list. And so, for example, if we want to print, the last item in the list, what would that be? Take a guess. And if you said index 3, that is correct. We have an error. Let's figure out what the error is. All right, and if we looked here, if you figured it out, I just had a simple typo. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and rerun it, and we should get everything we want. All right, cool. Okay, so now let's look at, let me get rid of this. Let's say that we said, hey, we're going to print index 4. So there is no index 4 currently. Okay, so let's run it and let's see what happens. All right, so it says index error, list index out of range. This is a very easy error to fix if you ever see this. If you ever see this, you're just kind of off by 1. But it's very easy. I know when I started programming, I would get this and really had a hard time figuring out, and then eventually you figure out that these index out of range errors are very easy. It usually has to deals with arrays, what we call arrays in other languages, but list and tuples, I should say, sets and dictionaries, but these are very easy to fix. All right, now let's talk about this mutable characteristic. All right, so meaning let's change something. So in this case, let's change basketball to golf. Okay, so we would simply say we're going to go, actually, let me just do it here. So we'll say sports, and we'll say 0. So index 0. I'm sorry. So we're going to go there, and then we'll say is equal to golf. Okay, and then I'm going to print index 0 there, and I keep doing sports, so it's sports. So now we've changed this index 0 to basketball to this, and just to prove it, let's get rid of this for now because we don't need that. We're gonna do kind of a before and after. So I'm gonna go print sports 0. So we'll do 0 there, and then we'll change it, and then we'll print sports 0. And let's see what we come up with. All right, and we'll run. Okay, and now notice that the first item that we print was basketball because it was here. It was before it was changed, so it was basketball. And then the second part was we changed it, and then the third part was the sports 0. So we basically are printing the same position. And then if I were just to print the whole thing, you'll notice that I'm just going to say print sports, and then now you'll notice everything just went away. So it's golf, soccer, football, and volleyball. And so that really pretty much covers the list. And also, forgot we can put a duplicate in there. So let's put soccer. Okay, so if we print it, that having a duplicate in the list would not be a big deal. Python would be just okay with it because it is a list and it allows duplicates. All right. All right, let's continue with a tuple. So what I'm going to do is going to paste this in here, and I'm going to put this at the bottom, and I'm going to put this in a multi-line comment so this code doesn't run. We're going to put that there, and then I'm also just going to grab the sports here. We continue to use sports, but we're going to change a couple things up. So I'm going to grab this. So let's change this to a tuple. All right, so a tuple kind of sounds funny. Well, at least I think it does. To make this a tuple, we're just going to put the parentheses now around it. So now we actually have a tuple instead of a list. Okay. Now a tuple is ordered. It's immutable, meaning it cannot be changed, but duplicates are allowed. So the difference between the list is mutable. The tuple is immutable. All right. So let's do some experimentation here. So I'm going to do print, and we want to print type just to confirm we have a tuple. Okay. So I'm going to print its type, and we should get tuple. All right, cool. So it worked. Yay. All right. So now we're going to access just some of the items here, and we just do that very simply, just like we do in a list. So we're going to say sports, and then I'm going to access that first item, which is basketball. And when I do that, we'll print out the type and we'll get basketball. So you access the items the same way in a tuple. You do sports, and then you do the index that you want. Okay. And as I said before, it allows this list, this tuple allows duplicates, so there's no problem of having two soccers in here, so it's not a problem. But it's immutable. So let's try to change the first item. So instead of, and we're going to try to do something like this. So right here in this line 12, where we do sports, index 0 is equal to golf. We're going to try to do that to a tuple, and let's see what we get. Okay, so we can do it here. All right, so I'm going to say sports, index 0 is equal to golf, and let's see what kind of message we get from here. All right, boom, it says type error. It says tuple object does not support item assignment. So that's just basically saying, hey, we can't assign a value because this is a tuple and it's immutable. You cannot change it. And the next thing we're going to talk about is a set. All right, so sets are different. And I'm going to just grab the same data here. So I'm just going to put this up here. And I'm also going to put this in a multi-line comment. So we'll comment everything out so we don't have any code running that we don't want to. And so let's go ahead and run this. Actually, let's go ahead and let's do print. And we're going to say type. And we're going to put sports in there. And one thing we need to do to change it to a set is we need to change these parentheses to curly brackets. And so that's going to signify to Python that, hey, now we're dealing with a set. Now a set is unordered, it's mutable, and there are no duplicates allowed. Okay, now before we move any further, I want to talk about the unordered nature of the set. Right now, if we were to print these out, we would get a certain order, but in sets you don't have an index, and so it doesn't. So in Python, it does not record the position. So what that simply means is that these may be printed out or printed out in any order. So it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you will have these printed out in various orders, especially when you get into bigger sets of data. And so that's what the unordered part means. Now mutable, we'll talk about that in a second, but we've printed the type, and let's print out just the let's print sports. So we're going to print the sports set out, and notice what happens. So now if you remember, a set does not allow duplicates. So we have two duplicates here. Let's look and see what happens. Okay, so if you notice, you have volleyball, soccer, football, and basketball, and notice that they're not in the order that they were put in. And then you also notice that there's also one soccer and not two soccers. And so that shows you the duplicates, and it shows you the unordered nature of a set. Now, we can add and remove items, and we have to use a method, and let's just do it. So if we wanted to add an item to this, we could do sports, and we have to do the add method. So we're going to say add. So we're going to say dot add, and then let's add golf. All right, and then we're going to print this before and after. So we'll do print sports. We'll print sports. We'll add it. We don't need the type anymore, so I'll just get rid of that, and then we'll print sports again, and let's see what happens. All right. So if you notice, golf. Okay, it's golf, people, not gall. I guess that's a new sport. But anyway, let me go ahead and run it again with the correct spelling of golf. Sorry, my golf fans out there. Okay, so now we have the set. We print the original version, which is this set here, with no duplicates. And then if we add golf, we have added golf in this manner here. And then notice also that it is in a different order. Volleyball is first, but then soccer, then football, soccer, basketball, then golf. So it's not ordered. So just to show you the difference in a list, we could simply just do an assignment where we could say sports, and because it's index based, we could say is equal to golf. That's not going to work with a set. And let's see what happens. So let's see what kind of error we get. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and again, this is not going to work because we're dealing with a set. There's no assignment, and so let's go ahead and run it. And then we get a type error, and it says set object does not support item assignment. Okay, so that is a set. All right, the last item I want to cover is a dictionary, and then in the next video we'll cover more of the list, some of the list functions or list methods that we can use to manipulate the list. But I just want to cover some of the basics, and so we'll cover dictionaries here. All right, so I'm going to paste that here, and then I'm going to also cut and paste this away. We'll throw this in the multi-line comment, and so we have all of our information there. And then I'm going to paste a dictionary in here, so I just got this ready, and we're going to call this books. Okay, and so one of the things about a dictionary is it has a key pair value. And so this is a key, and then we have the colon, then we have the value. And to separate each item in here, we use a comma. Okay, and it should be author. And so this is the key, this is the value, this is the key, and this is the value. And then let's add another one. And so let's say, let's do, let's just make up something. So I'm going to say republished. We could say like 1940 something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but so let's say 1942. And so now we just added a key and we added a value. All right, so that is what a dictionary does. These are great for book lists, for any kind of list. So your Netflix list, your Spotify, your Pandora is probably in some sort of dictionary type item. In other languages, they're known as, different things. JSON is actually in this format. JavaScript objects are in this format. They're slightly different, but they're kind of in the same key pair value. All right, so if you don't believe me, we're going to print the type first. So let's go ahead and print the type. And so we're going to do type. We're going to say books, and we're just going to confirm that this is a dictionary. So I'll go ahead and run it, and boom, we get dicts, or a dict for dictionary. All right, so the next thing I want to do is let's just look at the length of the dictionary. So we're going to use the len function, and we're going to look at and see what the length is. Okay, so what is the length of this dictionary? So we'll run it, and we get 4. So it's saying that we have 4 items in the dictionary, and that confirms everything. I have this key pair value. This would be 2 key pair value. This would be 3, and then this would be 4. Now, if you notice also, this doesn't necessarily have to be in this format. We can bring everything up and kind of some long list like this. But in general, it's a good idea just to leave it in this format where you have each item on a line. It's just easier to read and follow along. All right, so that's that. Now, if we want to access one of the items in the list, we can simply do print. Let me see. So we're going to do print. So I want to access, let's say I wanted to access the title. And I could say books. And then I'm going to do my square brackets. And I'm going to say title. And so I'm going to run this. And we'll get Wizard of Oz. And then we could also just add, let's say, I could just say my favorite book is, and then we'll just do concatenation here, and we'll reprint this. And we get my favorite book is The Wizard of Oz. And so we can do all of this with a list simply by accessing the key. And so if we wanted to print the author, we could, let me just go ahead and copy this down, and then instead of saying my favorite author, I'm going to say my favorite book, I'm going to say my favorite author is, and then instead of saying title, we're going to access the author key, and that will do that. And there it is. Okay, so that is just kind of the basics of all of the Python collections, the list, the tuple, the set, and the dictionary. And I just wanted to cover just a really basic, the basic concepts of each one of those. Now, in the next video, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth, and I'm going to talk about the list, because a list is most widely often used, and we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do with the list. So I will see you in the next video. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, leave a comment, and if you want to subscribe to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button for more videos like this. And I will see you in the next video. Class is now dismissed.